Hello, everyone. It's Julie again, and I have a wonderful, wonderful treat for you today. I'm bringing to you the wonderful gentleman called Patrick Zeigler. He is an international star. He teaches all about love, positivity. He is just an amazing person, and I am so honored to have him with me on the channel today. Patrick, over to you. Let's introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Now it's great to be here. Yeah, so my name is Patrick Zeigler. I started teaching energy modality called Sekhem. I started teaching in 1984, but really the process with that particular energy worked in 1980 when from a trip in Egypt. So it kind of got things moving, inspired me, and then 4 years later I started teaching.
Wow. And it happened to you in Giza, didn't it, in one of the pyramids when you had...
Well, what it was is that I was an architect before I got into the healing work. And so I was used to working with a lot of the sacred geometry and really looking into a lot of that stuff to incorporate into actual buildings. Mm. So I did a lot of reading about the pyramids at that time. Back then in 1980, there wasn't so much information on it. But I did meet a fellow who actually made pyramids and stuff. So I got this little metal copper pyramid, meditate in it. And I thought, why am I sitting in this little metal thing if I can go and meditate in one of the real ones? So that was my goal. And I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Yemen and was able to then go to Egypt. That was in 1980. And so I went to the pyramids, but my idea was to spend the night in it, but I didn't know how that would be possible. So what I ended up doing was just going in as a tourist. I looked and I saw this one little passageway, which I knew what it was. It was right by the King's Chamber. And it was a place where the thieves tried to carve their way up over the stored doorways. Mm-hmm. And it didn't have a lock on it. So I just unlocked the thing. Well, I just took it off and said, well, if tomorrow, if this thing's not locked, I'm going to go in there and hide and spend the night. So that's what I did. I went back the next day. They hadn't locked it in. So I crawled in there and then they locked me in for the night.
Oh, wow. Were you afraid? I mean, the first time I ever went to Egypt was in 1980. It was when I first came to this part of the world. But I've never been into the pyramids. Never.
Oh, never?
No. Every time I wanted to go, something would happen. I've driven around them, been there, but it's really maybe one day. So were you afraid when you were locked in?
Well, at first, no. But then I laid down and was doing the meditation in the sarcophagus. Mm. And all of a sudden I started hearing like a sound. It sounded exactly like somebody was walking up the Grand Gallery. I don't know if you know the interior, but you kind of come in through a passageway and you have to crawl a little bit, and then it opens up into this big gallery and you have steps that then lead up to the King's Chamber. And so in there, that's where the sarcophagus was or is. And so I was meditating inside of that, and then I decided to kind of lay down, and I heard these footsteps, boom, 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 coming. And at first I thought, oh gosh, somebody's a group or somebody's coming. What am I going to do? Do I go back? Do I go back to my hiding place, or do I stay? And but one thing that was rather interesting is that when I first started to do my meditation, and I do a particular inner sound kind of meditation. So I was sitting there and all of a sudden I heard this very high frequency sound come in, like, ee! And I thought, wow, this is working very quickly. And it ended up being mosquitoes.
No.
And I thought, oh no, here I am meditating in here, mosquitoes. I didn't have any protection or anything. The only thing I did is I did bring a roll of toilet paper.
Oh, well done. Well, good thinking.
Yeah. And so I wrapped myself in that toilet paper, not even thinking, here I am in the sarcophagus. So it's all wrapped up. And then I laid down and did a continued meditation. But that's when the sound would come. And it literally, I could track it. It was coming up the steps. And I thought, well, is it humans? And then I realized that it couldn't be human, because the Egyptians actually are a little bit afraid of coming into the pyramids, especially without turning the lights on, and nobody turned the lights on. So I started in my mind all these things coming, and that's when the fear started to come.
Yeah.
And really, in Egyptian initiation is all about kind of stepping into your fears. And they did a lot of initiations where you would actually have to face your death at times. They were serious about the initiations then.
Yeah.
It was kind of a life or death thing. So they found that by facing your fears, that you could have this big cosmic initiation.
Oh, amazing.
So anyway, I was laying in there and this fear came in. And at first it was overwhelming. And then I just laid there. I thought, well, wait a minute, this is why you came. If you're going to die, because literally the sound was just coming right at me. Now, once I kind of shifted the consciousness and then dropped the fear, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Wow.
And kind of timeless experience. Before I knew it, my watch was going off and I had to go back hide because I'd been there most of the night, all night really.
Absolutely.
So that was interesting, because after I had the experience, that day, I met somebody looking for a Sufi sheikh. And I said, okay, I speak a little Arabic. So they went to where they told me. We met this little Sufi group, and they were one of the major Sufi groups in Cairo. And the head Sufi was in Sudan. And we went there for about a week, and they said, oh, if you want to see the sheikh, and they ended up paying our way to go all the way to Sudan just to meet this guy. It was amazing.
Oh, wonderful. Yes.
And that's where the all-love name comes from. The Sekhem, actually, after the experience, I was meditating and this word Sekhem came.
Wow.
And I didn't know. I didn't have the relation, the connection. So I just called what I did Sekhem without really necessarily having it be this big Egyptian connection. And then later on, doing some studying, I found out that Sekhem is the word, well, loosely translated, it's like power for powers, or like kind of like a key, or the energy. It's used for energy to represent the kind of the source of the gods.
Wow.
But anyway, I started to work with that, and then I came in across some people that taught Reiki when I came back from the U.S. And that was in 1984. So Reiki was not very well known then.
Not at all. Oh, wow.
No.
But it was really on a journey. You were really meant to do this and really on a journey. So wow.
Yeah. So the lady that I studied kind of through the Takata Barbara Ray lineage. Barbara Ray is one of the original 21 teachers from Takata.
Yeah.
And so I kind of looked into her. I also kind of checked out Fumoto. I talked to her a little bit. But after talking to the two, I chose to kind of go with Barbara Ray and learned the Reiki mastership. They kind of like had it in A, B, and I just took the A side, But anyway, I kind of then connected with Reiki and realized a lot about the energy and the work that I was doing previous to that, because this energy work necessarily doesn't come with a manual.
No, not at all.
No, so So, I mean, you take a course, you know, they do give you manual, but at that time, you know, when I had this initiation in the pyramid, it didn't come with a manual. Uh, so anyway, uh, I started, you know, eventually teaching the Sekhem, and many people then began to connect Reiki with the Sekhem and teach them together. You know, they would do Reiki 1, 2, and 3, Sekhem 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Oh,
that sort of thing. So it began to be kind of, and that's what really helped the Sekhem work. And actually, there were a lot of different people teaching kind of different ways to do the Sekhem, because I didn't have a manual. I didn't teach with a manual, and so nothing was set in stone. One person would teach another. But really, this helped so much because it was kind of like a network was formed. And then 10 years later, all of a sudden, I'm reading things, and people are doing Sekhem all over the world.
Yeah, and you're thinking, wow.
Yeah, happens quick. And, you know, I have to, you know, really with the awareness that Reiki creates, because for me, you know, Reiki is one of the most well-known energy healing modalities, and it creates an awareness that you can do energy work, basically. You know, I mean, this is the beauty thing about it. So when Reiki started, the consciousness of Reiki started opening up, that really helped Sekhem grow as well. And the two kind of grew together. A lot of times people would teach Reiki and then they'd teach the Sekhem, or sometimes even teaching them together. You're probably familiar with Karuna Reiki, right?
Yes, all of it. Yes. Because I started my with my Reiki, really, it was like 1992, so pretty early. And of course, Reiki for me has been the foundation for all my other energy work and modalities that I do. But like you, earlier on in my life, I was talking to beings and seeing things and doing stuff myself, you know, manual. Yes. But Karuna.
Well, it was interesting. The Karuna Reiki is one of the variations of Reiki that really had some strong connections to Sekhem in the beginning.
Yes.
You know, because Kathleen Milner, she started teaching her versions of Sekhem, the Teramai Sekhem, and then there was some. William Rand learned a little bit what Kathleen was doing, liked it, and then he just renamed that Sekhem Karuna Reiki. And there's very strong similarities. But the difference, you might say, the difference in the way I'm teaching currently is I don't focus so much on symbols and things like this. Now, I know there are different types of Reiki too. Some focus on the symbols, some don't. I really enjoy, you know, the way that our Java teaches, because he's really done his research. He's gone to Japan, and really one of the few teachers that's actually gone there and studied with the people.
Exactly, and it's simple, and it's powerful in its simplicity, and of course they understand the symbols, because I think maybe you may agree that we seem to, or especially in the Western world, seem to have got too hung up on all these symbols, and then they dream and they have another symbol because it was given to them, another symbol, and then another one. You think, but you don't.
No, I completely got it. Yeah. What I found was you know, basically, let's just say you're doing an attunement with somebody. And that's where a lot of the focus is on the symbols, you know, where you're doing the attunement. I don't do that so much. I'd like to focus on the heart and focus on love.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you just keep focusing on that love, you focus on it, and then it starts to grow. And then a person will have an initiation, and really it's so grounded, so connected. And, you know, one of the things I noticed online, people discuss sometimes first, second, third degree. And some people say, well, I didn't feel anything during the initiation. Really, when you have an initiation, it will be one of the most amazing experiences of your life. You'll know you had the initiation. You don't need to ask people, did I get the initiation? It comes. I joke a little bit about it, you know, in a way, because it's a little bit like a spiritual orgasm. You know, in the heart, but it's in the heart, and
it's in the heart, yeah. And it just,
boom.
Yes, I've experienced this, and it's just this, you can't explain it. It's just this, oh, and you're so connected, and you're so in bliss, really.
Yes,
beautiful. And then you just know. Yes.
Well, I mean, basically these sorts of things, we're humans, and we're designed to have these experiences. It's that simple. And then there's a lot of different ways to access that. And for me, you know, if you're going to be doing the healing, what do you want to focus on? And that's the reason we call it all love, because you really you want to focus on the love. And then that brings the healing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you get that love into anything, it brings in the healing. I've never actually been to one of your physical sessions. I've heard about them, and of course Java has been there, and I keep missing them. We are going to all get together and do one. I'm positive of this. I will, but the people who I know who have been there tell me about this beautiful experience. I just really want to get more people aware of your work and this beautiful all love, because this is what we really need in the world now, I feel.
Well, this is the key, you know. Well, just say, you know, even with you're working with Reiki, just focus on the heart more. You know, just really focus on the love when you're working with that, and this will be, you know, let that be more of your focus.
Yes.
So it's amazing when you shift that.
Yes, and the rest happens then. It goes. It's so beautiful. So how do you see the Sekhem evolving? I think the world is in desperate need of it, right?
Oh, yes. Well, you know, I mean, all of this energy work, it's really the consciousness to know that, one, we can help and we can support each other. But also the energy is very good for awakening. And to me, this is one of the aspects of, you might say, within Reiki, that kind of got lost when it jumped into the US.
Yeah, I totally
you know, the focus was put more on healing rather than awakening.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, you know, with the Japanese Reiki, you know, like with Jikin and Reiki and the systems coming out of Japan, they get back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why, well, Java, I mean, he's the guru. I now only work with the Jikin and Reiki because it is so much more heart-centered. It's about yourself, and I don't know, just it completely changes your life, completely.
Well, it opens up your life to possibilities, you know, that sometimes you never existed.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, wow, you know, really a lot of times people, their first Reiki class is that class of their first awakening, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, my first experience with Reiki, I had been ill for several years, and I was living here out in Bahrain at the time, and I couldn't get well. I had major surgery. I couldn't get well. But I had been ignoring all my sort of like latent, shall I say, perceptive abilities and knowing and whatever. And of course, this is like in the early 90s, like 1992, and we don't have email, we don't have internet, we have nothing.
I know.
And so I was so fed up, I couldn't get well. And I remember one night waking up in so much pain and sickness and just lying on the bathroom floor and asking my dad to come and get me because my father had passed. And then I woke up and I said, you know what, this is silly. This is really silly. Let's go. So I went back to the UK to find a homeopath, thinking a homeopath will help me. And I kept telling everybody on the phone, because we had to have a land phone then, I need this help. And when they found out that I didn't live in England, they said, well, we can't treat you because you need to be here. And then this one wonderful, wonderful homeopath says to me, oh, of course I'll see you. Come and see me. So I thought, oh, I'm on my way. And I sit there for 2 hours telling my whole story. And he goes, well, if you were living here, I could treat you. I can't treat you because you're not living here. I said, but you knew that. And he said, no, he said, something was telling me I had to see you. And I have to tell you, and he was very forward thinking, Patrick, because he says, you need something called Reiki. I went, what? I live in the Middle East. How am I going to find that? We are still friends.
Yeah.
So I'm so disappointed now, thinking, what the heck is he just told me? This is the most stupid thing. I was really upset, thinking, I'm never going to get well. So my husband was working away at the time. So my best friend, who was American, was picking me up at the airport when I got back on the plane to get back to Bahrain. She has no clue what's happened because we have no phones and email and things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it was really spooky because she's waiting for me in arrivals and she's jumping up and down and she's so excited, which was not really her. And she's going, Julie, don't tell me what's happened. We've got to go to the embassy. We've got to go to the American embassy to meet somebody, because I met this really strange man there last night and he does this really strange thing called Reiki.
Okay.
And he's going to treat you. And 5 sessions and I'm well. I was well. And that was my story into
Cool.
to Reiki. And then, but then it opened up all the other pathways and my psychoceptive abilities. But it was this awakening, and it was that started me off, because something inside me, apart from the fact I got well, changed.
Yes.
And you can't explain it. And of course, that homeopath was so forward for his time.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, so
interesting how it all works.
How it all works. And then, of course, I met Carver, and of course, him and I are partners in crime. So, it's wonderful talking to you. And I do hope that we can talk more about this. But I want to talk about your retreat in a second. But before we do that, we've just come through, or the world is coming through this dreadful pandemic, which has actually given us all time to reflect and think. What do you think the world has learned a lesson, and where do you think this is?
Well, it was interesting. We happen to be in India. We have an ashram in India, and we were just finishing up a 40-day meditation when COVID kind of first started. And so we had like another week to go when the news came out, with all the quarantines and things were shutting down. And so it was interesting because they were trying to quarantine everybody, and here we were for 40 days already self-quarantined. But no, it's really, in a way, brought a lot of people together. We weren't online like this so much at all. And now we do regular Zoom classes, more Zoom sessions. And of course, now we're finally, after a 2-year delay, getting ready to do an in-person class in Spain. The doors are finally opening up again. People are traveling. People are doing in-person classes. And really, it's gonna, things are getting back to normal now.
Do you think we've learned anything?
Yeah, there will probably be other variations and things like that of the virus, but we've kind of gotten, more adapted to it now. I mean, I've had COVID, or I've had COVID, our child, we all did. And actually, we hardly even knew we had it. But everybody reacts differently with it. Yes, exactly.
So, and it did feed people's fears, didn't it? Because I think the energy of that COVID was fear, and we were all afraid at the beginning, and now we're all.
Well, sure. I mean, you're walking, I remember when we first heard about it, or we're in the supermarket, and it's like, oh gosh, who's going to give you the COVID? And now we're just relaxed. I mean, really, we've had flus, we've had other things for many years, and all of a sudden you don't hear about that anymore. But for some people, really did have a terrible reaction to it. I know many people who lost their lives or have continued to suffer with it. So it's not like like some people, they say, oh, I don't know anybody, but I do. I know people.
I do. Yeah. And of course, in our line of work, we do. But I do think for people like us, for me, I'm not very good with technology. I am learning. I'm still learning. But maybe we are reaching out to more people because we have to go on here. Because I've sat in some of your Zoom workshops. And I would have done that before. You know, I'd have been thinking, no, I'll wait. Is somewhere where I am.
Well, you know, exactly. We had a class almost every weekend somewhere in the world.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden that just came to a screeching halt.
Yes.
So I had originally, you know, back in, you know, remember when the internet was, you know, slow and everything. We started up kind of, we wanted to do kind of an online Skype thing, but the technology wasn't working. But we ended up having phone classes. We were able to link in all the telephones. And so one of my visions was to always do kind of online classes. And now the technology's here. You know, we can, you know, like I said, you know, I've actually we got started early, and we've inspired a lot of people. A lot of people had never been online, saw our classes, and said, yeah, we can do that. And of course, we encourage people to do it. But in March, we're finally going to have our first class.
Yes, online, so let's talk
in person. So
let's talk about this, because I think this is amazing, because you're ahead of me. Java and I will be having ours in September, so we're going to learn from you.
Yeah.
Tell us about your retreat in Spain. Let's hear about it and how people.
Well, it's going to have a big focus on meditation. You know, really learning how to meditate, how to connect with that. Of course, we do a lot of the deep processing healing. It's also a silent retreat. So, I mean, you'll be participating and expressing if things are going on with you in the class, but there won't be a lot of the chitter chatter. So it's like 8 days in silence, and 7 days, the last day you finally start talking, and that's a whole nother experience after being quiet for a week.
I can imagine, yeah.
But it opens the crown, opens the heart, and really it's amazing energy that we're working with. We call it Sekhem, the energy, but really it's just connecting to your soul. Opening up to that.
And this is going to be, it's in Spain. It's northern Spain, isn't it? Where is in Spain?
It's just right outside of Madrid, an hour or so from Madrid.
Okay, lovely. So how can people get in touch with you to book this retreat?
Well, they can contact us, but we have two sponsors, Daniela Diaz and Daniele. They're both working together. One's from Holland, and the two Danielas, one's from Madrid. And if you contact me, we'll get you in touch with that.
That's brilliant, brilliant. And you can also contact me if you want to contact
me.
And I will just put them in touch with you. But I really wish you amazing success. I'm sure it's wonderful, and it's really exciting because yes, life hopefully is getting more.
It'll finally get back to having the live sessions. We'll get the energy moving again, and I know it'll be fantastic.
And we really need it. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about that. And I wish you well. I'm hoping we can do some more videos like this in the future.
Sure. Yeah, now we're open to it. It's good to finally meet you in this way.
Yes, finally.
I think I've seen you on some of the classes, but we haven't been able to talk so much. It's great.
And you know, I keep very quiet. You know, I might be a bit here, but you know, in my little room here, I'm safe. Okay, so I'd like to just say thank you to Patrick, and please, if you like this video, please do press like, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so now. It is free, and it will mean that I can bring to you more of these wonderful events with wonderful people like Patrick, who are just spreading this beautiful message around the world and teaching us all love. So I want to say thank you all for listening, and if you want to contact Patrick and you can't get him directly, get him through me. And thank you for listening, and God bless you all, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.